So today we're going to be talking about Scottie Pippen. Now, all of you know him for his Chicago Bulls run, but today I'm going to be making a case for just how great of a basketball player he was, especially on the defensive end. So let's get into it. Now, Scottie Pippen was drafted as the 5th overall pick in the 1987 draft by the Chicago Bulls. When he started off his career, he wasn't really a great scorer. He had to develop himself into the all-star that he ended up later on turning out to be. Now, his career stats, he's a 6-time NBA champion. He's made it to 7 all-star games. He's been an NBA all-star game MVP. He's been on 3 all-NBA first teams, 10 all-defensive teams, and he's gone down as one of the greatest winners in the history of the NBA, and he's been on so many defensive teams, as I said before in this video. Now, what made Scottie Pippen such a great defender? Well, let's first of all talk about his size and the position that he played. Scottie Pippen was a small forward. He was about 6 foot 8 inches tall, about 220 or 30 pounds or so. So he was very tall and he was very athletic. He had a very good build and he had a really long wingspan, about a 7 foot wingspan. So that gave him a lot of versatility in the court, especially in playing the passing lanes. Now, if you watch a lot of video of him playing defense, Scottie Pippen's defense can be broken down into many different layers. So let's talk about the first part of his defensive ability, which was his ability to play defenders all the way up from the 1 all the way to the 5 spot. He could defend all 5 positions, which was some case situational, depending on the person he was guarding at the time, especially at the 4 and the 5 spot. Now, Scottie Pippen was a great on-the-ball defender, and in a lot of cases, you see him picking up defenders all the way full court when they were doing the full court press, especially in the finals when the Bulls went against the Los Angeles Lakers with Magic Johnson. Phil Jackson actually ended up putting Scottie Pippen on Magic Johnson, and that really played a great part because it took Michael Jordan off of Magic Johnson to be more offensive-centric. So that's one of his great abilities. He could play defenders full court. So that was an advantage that you had such a big guy that the Bulls had, who was a small forward, able to pick up the best offensive player of the other team full court, and he had the size. So if they put him on a point guard, he would really cause some matchup issues. Now, I'm sure that gave the Bulls some issues as far as having mismatch across the court, but that was just one of the things that he was able to do. The second thing was his ability to front the post. You see a lot of plays when Scottie Pippen was playing the post, meaning he'll be playing the post defense on a play, let's say like Charles Barkley. He would let the defender feel him behind him, and the minute that his teammate would lob the ball to dump it into him, to the offensive player, he would quickly go around him and get the steal. He had an uncanny ability to front the post, and it was something that really made him versatile because, as I said, he had that long wingspan, so he was able to jump up really high in the air and grab a lot of steals that way. Now, another thing that made Scottie Pippen really adept at defense was playing passing lanes, and that has to do with the feel of the game that he had and timing. You have to understand a lot of the tendencies that your opponent has and be able to anticipate. He was very good at anticipating what the defender was sort of going to be able to do. Sort of the same skill that Kawhi Leonard has, where he was playing in one game in Toronto during the regular season, and they were about to pass the ball where Cutter was going to do a back cut to the rim, and he anticipated and dove to the court on the floor to intercept the pass. And the commentator just like, oh my God, what a defensive play. That was due to his anticipation ability, which was something that Scottie Pippen was really, really good at. Now, if you watch a lot of the defensive highlights from Scottie Pippen, you will also notice that he was one of the pioneers of the chase down block. We know LeBron James to be very, very adept and at that ability to be able to chase down a defender, especially when he doesn't see them coming, and he would sort of get behind the play, and the minute the defender would either go for a block or a layup, he would come out of nowhere, sort of from the rafters, and just block the ball. Now, Scottie Pippen had the ability to block these shots and also keep the basketball in play, inbound, which was something that was really hard to do. It's already good enough that he's able to defend, neutralize that shot, but to keep the ball in play and give his team the offensive possession was also something that Scottie Pippen was really good at. Now let's look at another part of his game that really we don't really talk about. It was his ability to take charges, which again has a lot to do with his timing and the way he felt about defense, to sacrifice his body on the defensive end to be able to take a charge. Imagine you have these big NBA players coming down court full speed and they're barreling into you, and you now have to sacrifice your body, so to speak, to get in front of that guy to get the offensive foul. It was something that he was able to do, and it provided a lot of let's say it made the dynamic of the Bulls very hard to compete with, especially on defense. Because remember, on the other wing, you had a stellar defensive player of the year in Michael Jordan. So you could just imagine what teams had to go through when they were facing the Bulls in the late 80s. In the late 80s and the 90s, going up against such a defensive juggernaut. I mean, you had these two players on the wing. As an offensive player, you have to be thinking to yourself, how the hell are we going to score on these guys? Not to mention that the Bulls also had Ron Harper at the point guard position. So Scottie Pippen was able to sort of master his ability to defend players, and he probably did it better than any other perimeter defensive player. Now, in the NBA, has seen a lot of good perimeter defensive players. To name one, you had somebody like Ron Artest. Now, Ron Artest, what made him really good was that Ron Artest had really quick feet, and he was strong as a bull. Artest was known as being one of the strongest basketball players to ever play the game for his size. So he was also very gritty, and he played with a lot of tenacity. So that also made him really great as a defender. Now, Scottie Pippen, you didn't really see Scottie Pippen really getting into fights or anything like this, but he was still a very, intense defensive player. And imagine, obviously he was bound to become one of the greatest perimeter defenders, or probably the greatest defender in basketball history, when you're going up against one of the best offensive players in the history of basketball, in Michael Jordan. Now remember, Michael Jordan has the highest career average in the playoffs with 30 points. And I think it's the same career average he has for his entire career, which is unbelievable. This was the guy that Scottie Pippen was going up against every day in practice. So if you could guard MJ, or at least stay in front of him, then how do you think he's going to fare against other defenders in the league? So that's one of the things that I believe that catapulted him into becoming one of the 50 greatest players in the history of the NBA. And certainly a lot of people look up to him, especially people that are basketball players that are defensive minded, to say that Scottie Pippen was a really good defender. Now, if you look at his career, he also averaged about 16 points a game over his career, about 6 rebounds, and about 5 assists. So he was really well balanced, but his forte was defense. The most points he ever averaged in the season, I believe, was 22 points a game. But it was his overall versatility that made him such a stellar defensive player. And that's the reason why we wanted to highlight such a great defensive player. It's our first video where we actually sit down and put a spotlight on the defensive end of basketball. But I think it's something that's really important for us to really cover in this video. So again, if you're a Chicago Bulls fan or a Scottie Pippen fan, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment below in the video to let us know what you thought about it and what you think about Scottie Pippen's defensive skills. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Charles here from Dreamers Pro. Wishing you guys a great day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.